Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3, and today I'm going to be giving you part 16 of What If Naruto Universe Had Quirks. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other What Ifs over the other channels. Yes, I indeed have 4 of them guys, which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and smash that red subscribe button and become a part of the Making family. And I post a brand new series of What If Naruto Awakened the Dark Genkai from the Otsutsuki's. So go ahead, check out that and enjoy. I also post a brand new movie of What If Naruto went to the Shield Hero universe. So go ahead, check out that and enjoy as well guys. And remember, if you're new, yes, links in the description. So go ahead, check them out. Turn on the bell notifications they posted. So yeah, let's jump right into this. Begin now guys. So, the last part we left off, the whole village was in a frenzy after what happened, as Naruto had caused chaos. Everyone wanted answers but the Hokage and the Namikaze family were nowhere to be seen, isolated at the moment, so no answers could be given to literally anyone, as the village was wondering what was going on. As for Minato, well, he was angry. Past angry, he was livid. He was furious, he was raging, as the whole room project that he had under wrap was destroyed some time ago. He never got to know who did this. The problem was, Naruto couldn't have been skilled enough to enter down here and did this by himself. And not to mention, he had accountability for where Naruto was at that time. So that meant that Naruto was working with someone else. And Itachi Uchiha was missing for some time now. His mother and father, they were on the lead in search to try and find their boy. Minato could only surmise that Naruto and Itachi were working together. Yes, both of them were working together. They had pulled this off. Itachi had not showed his face. However, once he does, Minato will be right on him, knowing that he had something to do with this. He could feel it in his bones, he was certain about it. As for his son, as Danzo elaborated with him that the 3 clones that were created were missing. They weren't burned like the others, they were missing. Danzo and Minato were afraid, as they understand that the first 2 was Madara and Hoshirama Senju, but the third one was what scared them the most. If Naruto was able to somehow gain the quirks from those clones and gain that third one, Konoha was in big trouble, as they did not talk about what they had taken and what they had done to gain that third one. However, it was someone very dangerous. Minato played the good father and Hokage act as he allowed Konoha to, well, feel sympathy for him. His son lost his mind and went on a rampage, and now he wants to find him. However, he will do whatever it takes for the betterment of Konoha, even if that means putting down his own son. He couldn't allow him to destroy the village. However, he begged them. He begged them to at least give him a chance to try and save his son from the darkness, turning the people against Naruto even more, believing that he was the one that was in pain here. As for the family, Mito was by herself. She was sure about one thing though, Naruto. Naruto had to be stopped. Menma was thinking about ways to kill Naruto. Kushina was broken up about the way Naruto talked to her. In her mind, everything had been alright, but now, things had just went so chaotic. And now her son hated them. And he wanted them to, well, basically die. And that was bad, tremendously so. We had a little time skip as a group that was sent by Minato and Danzo arrived toward the scene. But Naruto was still there. Yes, he was there waiting for them, expecting the Hokage to send someone, so he sat, waiting. When they finally arrive on the scene, they attack without hesitation because he would not stand down. However, Naruto planned for this. The ground shook and erupted as a plant monster erupted. Naruto slaughtered everyone except for one and told him to go and report what he had saw here today and tell his father that he will be coming for him to end his existence. As Naruto walked, he felt strange. Something else was affecting him. He believed that it was the third copy that he had absorbed, but he got no quirk from it. He shrugged it off though as he made his way. Covered in blood, he finally met up with Orochimaru, who was delighted to see him. As the both of them got into talking, the both of them knew what this was. It was just a shared relationship to better the other. After all, Orochimaru wants something and Naruto wants something, and Orochimaru could provide that. As Naruto was led to his room, he basked under the water. As the hot water ran down his body, cleaning his hair. Telling his family off was the most amazing feeling that he got for a long time now, making them know how horrible they were and what he intended to do. Seeing the looks on their faces, it made him happy, knowing that he would hunt them down and make them pay for what they did to him. However, he was mentally exhausted, so he decided to take a nap. However, at the same time, Mikasa was also sleeping as well, and something happened. The both of them find themselves in a shared space, a little room as they sat down. Naruto was confused and he was violent about it, but she just wanted to talk. She was able to get him to sit down. She knew that he did not trust people, but the both of them felt like they knew each other. She from his memories and he from her emotions. As Naruto told her that he cared for no one though, that was when the ceiling suddenly broke and fell on her. Well, it was going to until he pushed her out of the way, saving her. That is when he arrived back in his own room, confused by what just happened. Somehow their mental link was still there. The quirk that she possessed to enter one's mind was not exactly that. Her quirk allowed her to read someone's mind, but she had to be physically touching them. However, Naruto's quirk affected hers because she was not exactly normal either, and she got his memories. So the both of them were bonded in a way, as she got to see his life and she started to develop feelings for him. Sympathy, pain, she felt his anger, his rage. He tried to block hers off, but he also felt it as well. However, he was just so angry, proving that he did not care for no one, so it was hard for him to ever come to that state of acceptance that he cared for anyone right now, because he had to look out for numero uno. Yes, himself, no one else. As we skip back to Konoha, Minato was plotting away for him to get his son back before he could reveal anything to the public. Not a word must come out of Naruto's mouth, otherwise it would jeopardize everything. So yeah guys, basically let's left off. You guys can switch across the place check for yourself. So what do you say we jump right into this brand new episode? Begin now guys. The people of Konoha was cheering. Yes, it was a big celebration. After 4 years they won. They won. They were all seated in the stadium area where the tuning exams were kept. Down below was someone. As two people walked out, showing that it was none other than Minato. And beside him was Menma, who was now grown, taller. Is here. Cut short though. Menma had a blade in his hand, as there was a sick smirk on his face. The people of Konoha cheered as they saw their two heroes. Two other people then walked out. It was Mito and Kushner, his family. In the center of all of this was someone that was tied, restrained by shackles. He had lost. Naruto had lost everything. He failed. He tried to fight Konoha and he failed. He lost everything. And now he was just waiting for death. It didn't matter what he tried against them, he failed every single time. He was worthless, he was a failure. I told you, said Menma, that you would never win. It doesn't matter what you try, you would always fail. You're just a quirkless loser. It doesn't matter what you can do now. You're nothing, Menma said. And you deserve this, said Mito. You deserve death. Yes, you were a rotten, monstrous child, Kushner said. And I'm glad that your existence is being erased. as Minato looked down towards him with a smirk, thinking that you had any chance of defeating us. Tuh, pathetic. People of Konoha, he called out. As the people roared out, today we will get rid of one of the greatest monsters that had plagued our village. By ending his life publicly today, something that all of you have been waiting for. The honor of that will be posted to the next Hokage. My son, Menma Namikaze. The people cheered in awe. As Naruto said nothing. He was shackled. His hair was long and dirty. His clothing was torn and stained. Blood was over him. Dried blood. Kushina held out her hand, so did Mito as they used their own chains to lift Naruto up in the air. Bound his hands and legs, so he could not move. Do it, Menma, said Mito, as Menma placed the tip of the blade right on Naruto's chest. You are nothing, he said, as he drove it through. As Naruto gasped before the blade split through his heart. Menma then sent electrical chakra down, said blade, as it destroyed Naruto's heart inside. He screamed out before his head collapsed. The blade was pulled out as Naruto fell. The moment his body touched the ground though, he passed through it. Arrived in a strange place. It was so empty, so cold, so nothingness. Naruto, open your eyes. Naruto, open your eyes. As Naruto slowly opened his eyes, that is where he saw what could only be described as the worst sight that he ever saw. It was undescribable. A monster. Fangs, claws, a beast. It sounded like an angelic female, but the sight was horrendous. It is time. Who are you? Said Naruto. That's quite simple. I am the god of death. As Naruto stepped back. And you have been brought to me for your sentence. It is time that I take your soul. You know that you belong here. You belong with us. Upon the beast in front of him saying that, Naruto looked behind as he saw many trapped souls screaming out in pain and agony. He was right. He failed. What's the point? There is no point, Naruto thought to himself, as he stepped forward, reaching out his hand until someone grabbed his hand. He was pulled. Naruto's eyes widened as he saw Ami. As she smiled at him, Naruto, she said, you can't give up. Remember, you have a goal. You have a dream. You told Itachi that you will do it. He gave his life so you can. You promised us as well. Are you really going to give up? Yeah, man. As Naruto turned to see Keo, I didn't think that you of all people would give up that easily. As Naruto looked at them, but I failed, he said. No, you haven't, they said, in unison. All you have to do is wake up. Open your eyes, they yelled. Upon them saying that, the scene shifted. Naruto's eyes snapped open. There he was, floating in a green liquid, as his body was in a tube. There was something over his mouth. His hand reached up as wires started to pop away from his skin. His hand then grabbed the breather and tore it off as bubbles came from his mouth. His eyes glistened as he roared. A minute earlier, Orochimaru was currently sitting in one of his many labs around the base, as he was looking at something inside of a jar. As he watched the liquid, a dark color liquid, move and twist, twisting and bending in all shapes and sizes. He looked at it with a smirk. It's been over 2 years. Yes, 2 years since Naruto had come here. In those 2 years, Orochimaru had done his best to see the boy reach his full potential, while he was secretly working on a way to take over the boy's body. However, every effort that he tried so far was an utter failure. The boy's body was resistant to be taken over by Orochimaru means. He just could not. If he tried, all of his quirk would be taken away. And that was something that was not appetizing to him at all. However, he saw the boy as an insurance, a future drive to use against Konoha when the time was ready. He had also fueled the boy hatred, telling him things about Konoha and about his father. More and more he saw the rage in his eyes. However, Orochimaru finally got it done. The tube that would help him reach his next step. Think of it as the curse mark level 2. At the moment, Naruto was performing at 50%. Every time he stole a quirk, his body would naturally take a while to place the quirk, and for those few precious minutes he would be vulnerable and could perhaps die, killed by anyone that wished to see his downfall. That was one of his drawbacks of his quirks. And another, his body was taking a long time to assimilate the chakra from other people, which therefore make him look weak, and it was moving too slow. So Orochimaru wanted to fast pace all of that. And also, it was also making his body stronger, more capable of taking on more quirks without any drawbacks, as the amount seemed to be limitless. If Orochimaru did not know better, it seems that this boy was the epitome of quirks, able to take all with no drawback, and because of him, there will never be an issue. His mind and body and soul was being strengthened by the tube that he was in. However, there were some problems. There was a chance of complete failure. Naruto has been inside of that tube for over 2 weeks now, and he almost died 3 times. From what Kabuto and him was able to find, there was some mental brainwave. He was dreaming, and these dreams seemed to be focused on his psyche. Perhaps something was stopping him from reaching his full potential in the dreams. They had him monitored. They had the whole room set up so if anything went wrong, they would have Orochimaru's thoughts were cut off as the entire place started to beep. A loud sound, the machines. Orochimaru rushed out of the room as fast as possible. As he made his way towards the other room, he saw Kabuto in the opposite hall. "What is going on?" he said. "I don't know," said Kabuto as he entered. Could he perhaps be dying again? That is when they saw that his eyes opened as he ripped off the breather from his mouth and screamed. Boom! The entire place exploded. A violent explosion inside the base went off, shaking the entire place. Water, dust, debris, everything flew everywhere. Orochimaru was slammed into the wall violently. However, his body took no damage at all, one of his quirks protecting him. As for Kabuto, he split himself into pieces, able to break himself apart, as his pieces were not damaged because they went small and moved, dodging out of the debris and everything that came to his, harmful way. Kabuto pulled himself back together as his master got out of the wall. Inside the room there was nothing but dust and smoke. Orochimaru raised his hand as the smoke started to blow away. Slowly but surely they saw eyes focusing on them. As Naruto stepped forward, he was naked as the day he was born. Naruto had grown in the past 2 years. He now stood at 6 feet. 6 feet flat. Yes, he has gotten a bit of a growth spurt in the past 2 years. His hair had not grown out that much, but it was reaching right at his shoulders, not passing there. It was now wet and sticking all over him. As he looked at Kabuto and Orochimaru, both of them looking at him, despite the fact that he was naked, they did not care. As Naruto looked down toward his hand, as he felt it, he knew the risk, he knew the danger, but he knew what he had to have in order to get what he deserved. He felt it, the power coursing through his veins. A wicked grin came on his face as he looked towards them. Time skip. At Konoha. 2 years had passed by rather quickly at the village. In these 2 years a lot had happened. Yes, a whole lot. Everyone there had increased their training in order to get greater mastery over their quirks. Knowing that now they were growing up, they had to face greater threats. In just 2 years, many of them had evolved. Hinata quirk. Well, her mastery over water had become splendid, as she was a pride and joy for her clan, while being a complete bitch behind their back. Her and Kiba started to date. However, it is hard to say that they were dating when Kiba was nothing but her slave. Time and time again she has proven that the only thing that she wanted was control, and if she did not get it, well, she can be very bad about it. The others had put in their time as well, and gotten what they deserve. Men, on the other hand, his arm that he had gotten better, as they were able to make the robotic arm more synthetic, and even make it look more lifelike. You could not tell that it was not his arm, but it was still not his. But now he could even funnel chakra through it, the metal. And also, he could produce chains from that arm as well. His quirk had bonded to it, making it more stronger as he placed the chains under the fake skin. So when he were to punch, the force that he would release was quite devastating. He called it his sonic punch. Deadly and fast. But that wasn't the only thing that he had learned on. He focused more on his teleportation quirk, as he's gotten so better at it that it was rather astounding to everyone, especially his father. As for Mito, she was training with Snazzy. Mito need to get stronger. That is what she lacked. Unlike her brother, she did not have much strength, while she had gotten better with her quirks as well. However, she needed strength, and who better to ask than one of the strongest kunoichis that she knew. Their mother was busy. She was busy taking care of her new baby. Yes. The thing was, Kushina had gotten pregnant not too long after Naruto had run away. A month, to be exact. The thing was, Minato saw that she was angry. She was even angry with him as well. So he did his best. His calm persona. And that's, well, end up with him comforting her when she broke down. She was angry with herself that she let things got this bad. He played on her sadness in order to get her to calm down. He needed her emotionally stable right now. He couldn't afford for her to be less than that. However, it gave them time to bond, something that they have not been doing a lot lately. And in those times they spent together, well, blissful, wonderful romantic get-together happened. And it ended up with their new baby girl. Her name was Saya Namikaze. She was still a baby as Kushina was taking care of her. This was good for Minato because this was keeping Kushina from asking him a lot about Naruto. Of course she did not forget Naruto, but she was afraid now. The things that Naruto said, what he promised to do. Kushina had no choice but to protect her newborn baby. She could not allow Naruto to hurt her, no matter what she had to do. As Minato was happy to hear that when she had said it. The whole family was on his side. He didn't want any of them to listen to Naruto or hear him out. Otherwise, they would know the things that he's been up to. Things that he didn't want to come to the public. Because he was sure that Naruto was aware of them. Over the past 2 years, Minato had tried to find Naruto, but he had no success. None in the slightest. And he was just getting more angry. However, he would not stop until he find him. Time skip. At the Hidden Rain. A lot has happened here as well in the past 2 years. However, one person in particular had grown a lot. It was Mikasa. She had grown taller and becoming more womanly. Over the past 2 years, she was able to contact Naruto once again, as she realized something. Their connection was never truly broken. Perhaps that is the reason why she felt this strong connection to him. And yet, a part of her was telling her that was not the reason. The moment that she had made contact with him and she saw his memories, there was some kind of bond between the both of them. He knew it as well, but he was so damn stubborn that he would never admit it. However, she did admit it though. He was rough, always acting like a complete jerk and an asshole to her, in his own unique way, acting like he did not care about anything, despite her telling him to be careful around someone like Orochimaru. She did not tell her parents about this, because she did not want anything to happen to Naruto. Her parents also started the initiative in the past 2 years, that being the Akatsuki, the organization that her parents were a part of. She knew that they intend to change this world, and in doing so, they will have to do things that none of them would like, but they have to do it. However, she saw firsthand how people can be because of their quirks. She saw how people can be because they possess strong power, starting wars and chaos. Her father and her mother was going to change this though. They were both inspired by Uncle Yaiko. She never met him, but he was like a brother to her father. As she called him Uncle Yaiko, she saw photos of him. He died some time ago. He was the one that led them down this path. And now, her parents were going to change this world for the better, and she 100% support this. However, Naruto was with one of their greatest enemies. Orochimaru was once a part of the Akatsuki. However, he tried to attack her father. That was beyond stupid. He had tried to gain her father's body after seeing what her father could do. Yes, he tried to take his body. Orochimaru also was able to place other quirks inside his body. So he decided to make a bold move and attack her father. That resulted with Orochimaru nearly being killed. He only escaped by the skin of his teeth, running for his life like the coward he was. And now Naruto was with him. The world did not know where Naruto was. Soon after Naruto had left, a month or so, the news broke to the 5 great nations. They were hunting him. Yes, ninjas from all over were hunting him, believing that they could get him on their side, so they were hunting him down. Sooner or later, someone will get close. Naruto had refused to talk about his growth and what he was doing with Orochimaru. In the few times that they did talk, it wasn't much. However, she believed that he was warming up to her. After seeing his life, she just knew deep down he was broken. He found it hard to trust anyone. She saw it in his heart. So the fact that he was even giving her the time of day, talking to her, showed that his shell was breaking, piece by piece. However, she wanted to make sure that he was not involved when her parents decided to make a bigger move, and if Orochimaru was there, and he got in their way, the Akatsuki will not stand aside and let Naruto do as he pleased. And she didn't want him to die. Therefore, she wanted to convince him, but it was hard to do so, to get away from that man. However, after what she's seen, he was determined to get stronger, and it's been 2 years. There is no doubt that he hasn't gotten a lot stronger by now, to be able to take care of himself. She doesn't know if she will ever see him, or if she would, it wouldn't be anytime soon, because she was still a ninja of her village. She was now a high-class ninja. She was well known and respected throughout the village. People seen her as one of the great protectors, and she would fight for her village and her people, no matter what. But if she could help it, she didn't want Naruto to die as well. Meanwhile, at the Hidden Stone, 2 years. 2 years. As she was angry, it has been 2 years since he did this to her. Kurosaki stood on top of a small peak. Scars that came down her face, that could not be permanently healed because of what he did. Her whole face on the right side was scarred up badly. scar running from her forehead going down towards her chin. She wanted to gut him, to make him pay for doing this. It was humiliating. The people in her village saw her as someone weak. They would never say it out loud, but they looked at her differently. And she feels she would never gain back their respect until she would kill this Naruto. News broke to them some time ago that he escaped from Konoha, that he was now at bad ends with Konoha. Her grandfather has been searching for him, but the way her grandfather was doing things, it seems like he wanted to bring him in alive. However, if she got the chance, she would kill him where he stood. That is all that she seeks. To regain her pride from this humiliation, she wants him to pay. She wants him to pay for what he did. Meanwhile, at the Hidden Sand, Gaara, he's also grown as well over the past couple of years. Gaara had been in a coma for a month after the whole ordeal. Upon waking up, the beast's power inside of him has been diminished, but it was able to replenish itself. Gaara was humiliated. Never had he lost a fight. Throughout his entire career, because of his quirk, he had never lost a fight. And a part of him was, well, it was taken away. Maybe it was his pride, maybe it was his manhood, whatever it was. Something inside of him felt wrong, that he was humiliated like that even after drawing on the power of the Shikaku. Was he that weak compared to Namikaze? His father was still in reign. Even his father had a look in his eyes. Every day as Gaara saw him, every day as Gaara improved even more, he saw that look. His father was disappointed that he lost. Konoha was always taking the big stride in everything, and now, their greatest weapon, their greatest asset, the pride and joy, he lost. Surely, Naruto's defeat knocked him down a few pegs. But Gaara was just angry. Gaara wanted to reclaim his right as the strongest within the sand. And he needed to prove that by taking down Naruto Namikaze, who is somewhere out there in the world. No one could find him so far. Gaara was sure that he did not kill himself or went that far. He could feel it in his bones he was out there. The only way to gain back his reputation, to see that look in his father's eyes, the pride, the joy, was to take him down. And that is what Gaara intended to do. Meanwhile, at Land of Stone Base, slowly walking through the hall, as he finally stepped out into the light. The past 2 years has been a lot. It was none other than Naruto, arriving inside of a massive hall. The place was spacious and outdoor, as he stepped through the small little cave entrance. As he saw Orochimaru outside, behind him was 1,000 sound ninjas. As Naruto stood there, hands in his pockets, his hair had grown out as they stopped right at his neck, not passing. Considering that it was spiking up before, it has grown out quite a bit. His piercing eyes were the same. However, he now stood at 6 feet flat. He was wearing a jacket, and that was all. A sleeveless jacket that was crimson red with black streak going through it. His chest and stomach area was exposed, showing a well-framed build. He was not overly athletic, but his body had a six-pack, firm pecs. He was wearing black pants and strange footwear. They look like sandals, but at the same time they look like shoes. It was something special that helped him with his quirks. Not help like he needed, but they help boost everything. Because of the certain speed that he went, his footwear usually burned off. As Naruto stood there, Orochimaru had a smirk on his face. This was a test. It has been a few days since he stepped out of the cylinder that would have advanced his powers. Over the 2 years, Naruto had went on many missions for Orochimaru. And in doing so, he had gained a lot more quirks. Yes, a lot. And also, Orochimaru was correct. The Stone Ninjas tried to put him down. Yes, the first was the Zone 4, them being Orochimaru elite guards. After a couple of months of him being here, Naruto had been playing it cool, but realizing that they really think they could bully him, Naruto fought them. He fought the four of them. And what followed was a beatdown of the century. Yes, they did got him bloody. He did got hurt, but for them, all four of them were knocked unconscious. Their bodies broken. To the point where they were begging him to stop by the time he knocked them out. Orochimaru told him not to kill any of them. They were important. From that day forward though, no one here messed with him again. In fact, they kind of respect him for his strength. However, Kimimaro and Kabuto, Naruto noticed that they did not like him that much. Perhaps they hated him, feared him, or perhaps they were jealous. Orochimaru taking a big interest in Naruto, as he's taking Naruto on like a protege, someone that he could be proud of. Orochimaru not having a kid of his own, maybe that is the way he saw it. But the people could clearly see that Orochimaru taking a real liking to Naruto. And Kimimaro and Kabuto was, well, they were someone that want to be by their master's side always. Kimimaro especially, Orochimaru saved him. He was the last of the Kaguya clan. He had a quirk of the Kaguya that allowed him to create bones from any part of his body. But not only that, he could essentially control them once they were released in some destructive ways. He was quite the deadly adversary. Orochimaru was able to heal him with his quirk, saving his life, and from then on he's been indebted to Orochimaru. At the moment though, the snake Sanin had a grin plastered over his face. "Well, Naruto-kun," he said, "show me what you can do." Orochimaru then flashed away as he appeared on the top, looking down inside the giant area. As Orochimaru called out, "Kill him!" His voice echoed through the area. The 1,000 shinobis blur forward, quirks of different kind moving in, as they all were given an order and they intend to follow. Naruto saw them all coming. As he stood there, his muscles relaxing, before he pulled them, his arms out of his pockets. As he started to walk calmly, someone flashed beside Orochimaru's side. It was none other than Kabuto. "How are things going, my lord?" he asked. "You're just in time for the show, Kabuto." Upon saying that, Kabuto glanced down as he saw the 1,000 ninjas as Naruto was calmly walking towards them. Objects from all kinds, fireballs, water balls, snowballs, spike balls, all sorts of things were launched towards him. However, as Naruto opened his hand, and then extended it wide to his sides, before he brought it and clapped his hand together. The moment he clapped his hand together, there was a super collision. The kinetic force in his hand blasted out in a gigantic radius. Bodies were blown. Ninjas were thrown. Many of them crashed into one another. It was pure chaos. Quirk, compressed energy. Naruto was able to compress a large amount of energy all over his body, and he then could bring it towards the forefront by using a motion of snapping his fingers or clapping his hand to release it. His body had to be in a state of relax first, where he gathered said energy and then released it like a gravity wave, a quirk that he got on one of his missions. Several of them started to get back up as the ground beneath Naruto opened up, as it became a strange liquid. It tried to swallow him, but Naruto was not touching the ground anymore. He was flying. Not in the initial sense. Quirk light. Naruto's body has become extremely light to the point where he would not be dropping for some time. He had just jumped. Yes, a quirk that he got. Able to make himself light and even float in the air, using his chakra to guide him like he was actually flying. However, Naruto noticed that cements. It was a thick cement material shot out of the ground. They tried to grab onto his leg. Before they could though, Wind gathered around Naruto and started to spin violently. Quirk, tornado. Able to turn the human body into a tornado, as Naruto drilled through said hands, destroying them. He then slammed his foot down on the earth. The earth exploded. As it exploded forward, screams of pain could be heard as they were blasted. Quirk, shockwave. Upon making connection with a object or surface, with this quirk activated, Naruto could repel a violent shockwave that would lead to catastrophic destruction. As Naruto walked forward before he blurred out of sight, raw speed as he appeared right in the center. Yes, he has gotten the quirks, but the most impressive thing was his strength, his reflexes, speed. Orochimaru's little experiment gained his body extreme durability and an enhancement of everything that he already possessed. This was not Orochimaru's expectations. Orochimaru was just trying to make the quirks bond quicker to Naruto and excel his growth. However, unknowingly Orochimaru had increased Naruto to a level beyond his expectations. As the Sannin watched, 3 of them rushed forward. One of them had the hands of a crab. He grabbed Naruto into a vice grip. However, the man was shocked when Naruto pried his hand open with the strength of the crushing force that shouldn't be possible yet. As Naruto drive a palm in his stomach, the guy's eyes rolled back in his head. Another had a tail that wrapped around Naruto. Naruto looked down as he was yanked forward, right towards the opponent that opened his mouth. There was razor sharp teeth. He seemed to be half lizard. However, Naruto simply raised his hand in front of the guy's face and grabbed onto his mouth. The guy tried to pry Naruto's hand away. However, Naruto kept on squeezing until a cracking sound could be heard as all of the guy's teeth shattered. Ripping off the guy's tail, Naruto swung him and slamming him to several others, knocking them away like he was some kind of bat. He then lifted him and slammed him in the earth. Naruto then jumped up in the air as several of them landed where he was. He then flipped and came back down and smashed his fist in the earth. Stone and debris exploded out. Kabuto and Orochimaru watched as Naruto blurred out of sight and reappeared. Knocking, punching, kicking. Bodies were dropping. Out of the 1,000 ninjas that were sent, 400 was already on the ground. The Sannin looked down. It's only been 15 minutes, and yet 400 of them was already down. And Naruto was taking things slow. These men were not the strongest, yes, but it is shown how Naruto has grown, and he was not even using his strongest quirk. Looking at the time once again, 30 minutes. There was only a handful left. Less than 20. The 20 of them released their strongest attacks. However, as all of the attacks came towards Naruto metals and all sorts, he took in a deep breath before he opened his mouth. Upon doing that, flames that seemed to scorch the very air itself escaped his lips. All the attacks were incinerated. Beat ninjutsu, beat quirk kind, anything, they were just gone, erased from existence. The flames burning so hot. They leaped away. Only 5 of them landed. The others were sent into the wall face first. As Naruto appeared behind the other 5, they turned, shock written all over their faces. Bam! Bodies were dropped. Kabuto stood where he was, astounded. Just 2 years ago, this child, yes, he was strong, but this was ridiculous. His growth was impressive. Kabuto was certain that he stood no chance against Naruto. The problem was his master confident enough to defeat someone like this? Naruto's growth has shown to be exponential. Orochimaru had helped him along the way. However, in doing so, Orochimaru also got intel that helped him as well. Orochimaru was now able to extend his body to 15 quirks. The reason being, he was able to get some of Naruto's DNA. Naruto's body was special. It was strange. His body literally made no sense. His body was the opposite of all quirks. Think of it like a cure to a virus, and the quirk was a virus. But at the same time, his body had antibodies that shield him. However, those antibodies could be turned and used to increase said virus, the virus being the quirk. Orochimaru couldn't believe it. He was never able to surpass his limits with everything that he tried, and yet, with Naruto DNA, Orochimaru was able to break through his limits. There was no telling the extent what he could reach after a few more years of research. That is why he was keeping Naruto so close. He was valuable to his research. He was important. Important than all the others here. As Orochimaru jumped down, some of them were dead, but majority of them were still alive. They just got knocked out. However, he was sure that Naruto did not care about their well-being. If they lived, it was because of special circumstances. Orochimaru jumped down as Naruto looked towards him, as there was a bit of blood on him. Satisfied, Naruto asked. "Quite so," Orochimaru said, with a delightful smile. "Well then, I'm gonna go clean myself up," said Naruto as he walked off. Kabuto jumped down. "My lord, isn't he getting a bit too powerful?" Kabuto asked, looking toward his master. "Yes, I've noticed that as well," Orochimaru said. He expected Naruto to win, but not this quickly. The experiments, they went well. Better than he thought. He thought he just sped up the process, but it seems like he did something else that he wasn't even aware of. "Kabuto," he said. "Yes, my lord. I recently took some DNA and blood from Naruto. I want you to go and examine it for me, to see exactly what has changed in his internal aspect." At once, Kabuto said, as he was also worried. While Naruto did not prove disloyal, it's still good to be cautious. Orochimaru was thinking the same exact thing. Later that night, as Naruto sat in his bed, he wasn't someone that enjoyed fancy things, that is why. He's not really care about housing. Only thing he wanted was a bed. And maybe a few books. After all, from he was younger, he liked to read. That is why there was a bookshelf with countless books in his room. And a nightstand, small table, and a lamp on it. The bathroom connected, nothing else, nothing more. As Naruto sat in his bed, before lying down, there was a lot on his mind. Soon he will make his move. He's been kept updated with the world out there. A lot has been happening. And they were still searching for him. But they would not stop, of course, after all. He was one of the most important persons on this entire world right now. Given what he can do, countless people want to see how he tick, what make his quirk work. But they would never get the opportunity. As he closed his eyes, it was nighttime. Same for the hidden rain, as Misaka closed her eyes as well. A few minutes ago, Naruto did not sleep until very late in the night, because he was up thinking and planning out things. As Misaka closed her eyes, she was drifting off to sleep, when Naruto went to sleep as well. The connection was made. To this day, none of them could figure out how exactly the connection was made. But still, the connection always happened. At the most random time, Naruto opened his eyes as he released a heavy sigh. Sitting in front of him was none other than her. As she opened her eyes, she was here once again. This was their 9th meeting? Yes, this was the 9th time that they have been in here and spoken to one another. They had never spoken about anything personal, as he did not seem to care for that much. This time though, she remained quiet. As Naruto did not speak, she noticed that he did not tend to speak first. However, despite that, she remained quiet, as the place was dead silent. The both of them had grown a lot, and he noticed her growth as well. However, Naruto was sure that he was dead on the inside. It was a horrible thought, but yes, he was dead on the inside, because he felt nothing. One by this age would have feel romantic feelings for the opposite gender, anyone, but he didn't feel anything. He didn't feel love, he didn't feel happiness. He just knew that he had a job to do. That is why, at the end of his job, he was broken from his thoughts. As she tilted her head. Are you not gonna say anything, Naruto asks. Well, you don't intend to speak first, I've noticed. So I want to see what you would say first, she said to him. Is this some game, said Naruto, trying to trick me to speaking. And why would I try to trick you? You know that we've come here 9 times now, and you've never once told me anything really. You just talk about nonsense most times, to get me to leave you alone until we return back to our bed. And what exactly would you like me to say, said Naruto. I don't know. How was your day, she said, in a sarcastic tone. As Naruto looked at her, I was joking, she said. Maybe she was not fully joking. She thought to herself, as she looked at him. How are you, she said. Naruto could not understand her. She cared for him, but it didn't make sense. Why would she care for someone like him? She saw the path that he had chosen. She saw what he was doing, and yet, she still tried to put in effort again and again, trying to save him, trying to protect him. But he didn't need anyone pitying him. The only reason why she did this is because she saw his memories, she saw how hard his life was, she saw how broken he was. If it wasn't for that, they would be strangers. After all, the first time they met, he pissed her off and she called him a jackass. And not to mention, he kind of hated her hair. Her red hair reminded him so much of his mother, and he didn't like that. However, he supposed she were better on the other hand. Shaking his head out of those thoughts, he released a heavy sigh. Why? Said Naruto. She looked at him confused. Why what? Why do you care? Time and time again you've tried to change me into a good person, trying to show me that there's another path, that me joining forces with you will be the best for me and everyone. But you see that I don't care, so why did you continue to try over and over again? Honestly, I don't know, she said. I don't know why I care about your well-being, but I just do. I just don't want to see you die. As he just looked at her. You say that it's because of the memories. You told me that before. Yes, it is, but after getting to know you, it doesn't matter how you act with that rough exterior. I know that inside you need someone. You have no one that you care about. I have my family and my friends. But to you, everyone else and everything else that's standing in your way, people for you to care about, is irrelevant. As Naruto simply looked at her. I'm trying to show you that you're wrong. That not everyone is irrelevant. As Naruto leaned back in the chair, he released a sigh once again, as he just looked at her. Maybe if things weren't so screwed up, we would have been friends. Unlike majority of the people in this world, you don't judge people because they don't have quirks. You saw my memories, but I felt your emotions. Even now I can feel it. What? She said to him. He's never told her that before. Yes. You saw my memories only once, but even now I can feel what you're feeling. You're angry that I'm being so stubborn. You're sad that my life is gonna lead me to death and destruction. And that hurts you on the inside. You're a genuine kind person who wants to do the good for others. Who wants to fix this world. It doesn't matter if there will be chaos for some time, because the ends justify the means. Orochimaru talk about your family, I suppose. He what? The Akatsuki. So, you know, she said. The Akatsuki is willing to do anything as long as it justifies the means in the end. And the same go for you. However, You just want to fix things. But you know that the world is not just black and white. There can never be true peace without war. Without showing the people that they have no choice but lay down their arms. What are you saying, she said. I'm saying that I'm wrong for you, said Naruto. The world that we live in is not black and white. I have different goals. I have different things to do. She did not know exactly what he was up to because she had no prior knowledge on his recent memories, knowing that he was going after Tail Beasts and the Akatsuki was doing the same thing. So that was a big problem. If I were to join you in your group, I will only lead all of you to chaos. You have friends, you told me that you have your family. Live your life and stop worrying about me. Your constant thoughts, your constant worrying is only going to bring you pain and headache. So stop it, said Naruto, as she just looked at him. So I should give up on you then? That's what you're saying? Exactly, said Naruto, give up. Just leave me be. It doesn't matter what happened, I'll not change. She chuckled, as Naruto wondered what funny thing that he said. You know, you tell me this every time I come in here, in different ways, but you always come back to around this statement, to be left alone. Yeah, you're right. I might be a bit too involved in your life, and you don't care for me one bit. I'm sure if I died tomorrow, you would not shed a tear, because I mean nothing to you, right? Right? She said. He wanted to say yes, but for some odd reason he could not open his mouth. She looked at him strangely. Aren't you going to answer the question? No, said Naruto. No what? No to my question, or no, you're not going to answer the question. As Naruto got up, he just started to walk away. Hey! Where are you going, she said. You know it doesn't work like that. You can't leave whenever you want. As Naruto was wondering what the hell was wrong with him. That was a simple question enough, and yet he could not answer it. Like he physically could not. As he released a breath, he then turned as she was right in front of him. You're not leaving until I get my answer. Look, I don't know why I care a damn about you, but I do, okay? So tell me, if I were to die tomorrow, would you care? She asked him. As Naruto looked at her once again. Before the place went black, Naruto woke up in his bed. As he looked around, finally, it was over. As he released a breath that he didn't even know he was holding. Time skip, 6 months later. A random job that was being done by Naruto led him into a really bad situation. At the moment, the last person Naruto expected to see, as he stood in a forest, tucking a scroll into his pouch after he got the item that Orochimaru sent him to retrieve. That was after he had slaughtered 53 people to get it. A scientist believing that he could steal from Orochimaru without repercussion. However, the absolute last person Naruto expected to see now stood in front of him. I finally found you, Jiraiya the Sannin said as he stood on a tree branch looking down towards the boy. Shit. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want the next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below and turn on that bell notification as they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs on the other channels. Yes, I indeed have 4 channels which I post what if on every single day. Yes, you heard that correctly, every single day for guys to enjoy. I post a brand new movie of what if Naruto was sent to the Rise of the Shield Hero universe. So go ahead, check out that and enjoy as well guys. And remember, if you're new, yes, turn on the bell notification, see exactly when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace out.